John got the transmission cross member in there.
Hold on. Let me see this thing. All right. What does that say? Back of cross member. See how that mounts? See how that mounts?
Not the back of the cross.
Not possible. So, we might have figured out.
We figured out why that unit was in
Why
the
it was
scratching.
in the scratching dent? Because somebody got it, started putting it in, and said, "Well, that don't make no sense."
Well, we were looking at the directions, and I was like, I think you have to flip it the other way. And he was like, that's not possible. And I was like, but, you know, we just went back and forth. Anyway, it's in there.
Well, China. That is the moral of this old freaking build is China.
China. Well, last time we were here, or I was here, I guess, I told you not to do anything sketchy.
I did.
Yeah. So, I guess we're to the point now we're going to start reassembling.
Assembling.
Or assembling, I guess, so we can start going through some of the stuff that we bought.
Yeah. We're going to start with front suspension, a little bit of steering stuff, and probably the brakes. I've kind of already started cleaning the firewall up, just trying to get it ready. I'm going to go back and plate, probably going to go back plate all the way down here. I've got a piece of carbon that's left over from one of the other cars we did a firewall on.
We have quite a bit still over here,
So
we'll use that.
So we've talked about this thing being a budget deal. It really is. I mean, if I had to go out and buy a piece of carbon fiber, it wouldn't have a carbon fiber plate on the firewall. But
no.
Most of this stuff is as cheap as you can get. You know, it may work, it may not work, so we may have to redo some of what we're planning. But we're going to paint the firewall.
Wiper motor stand.
Yeah.
Well, that's the plan, I guess, at the moment.
Yep. We're going to leave the wipers and stuff on it. We went and ran a index race with the Chevette one time, and they told me they were going to ban me from their next race because it wasn't a street car because it didn't have wipers. So,
which it has the capability to have the wipers. We just didn't have them on the car.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, we're going to paint the firewall up. We'll just go ahead and jump into that. As you can see, we got a roll pan here, and it's fairly close to the color of the truck. I mean,
it matches pretty good, I think.
So that's the paint we're going to use on the firewall, and I'll just go ahead and jump into the fact that we're probably going to paint the front fenders with it too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because it's nice and cheap. Rust-Oleum, and it's got the little deal up here that you can dial in the
so you can change like the
spray pattern.
Yep.
So that roll pan I shot with a rattle can, and those of you that know me know that I'm not afraid to rattle can pretty much anything. I have rattle canned whole cars. But this thing being is what it is, you guys are going to see all the ins and outs of it. One of the things that I feel like we do really well is we do a whole lot with not very much.
Agreed.
It's going to be kind of neat to document and kind of bring people along with some of the roadkill-ish things that we do and what we try to make it look like. So anyway, we're going to paint the firewall, plate that with carbon. I've got a Motion Raceworks manual brake setup for it that I bought on
Black Friday.
I believe it was Black Friday. So I've got that. I'll have to get the price on it. that's another thing I'm going to do, is probably try to throw out the prices of what I actually gave for some of this stuff. So if there is anybody at home that's thinking about doing something like this, you can kind of see on the budget side of things, you know, what it's going to cost to do this. So I bought a set of tubular upper control arms. These are from Speedway Motors, and these are their newest style that has the crossbar where you should be able to use that as basically a limiter, is kind of what my plan's going to be. So we're going to put these on. So I got these on Black Friday for $199 for the pair. So $200 on tubular upper control arms. Don't necessarily need them. I wasn't planning on doing it, but for $199, I think typically they're like $400.
It's kind of hard to pass that up.
Yeah, I figured I'd jump on it. So I bought those. We're going to put those on. I am going to put a 1-inch extended ball joint in the upper arm so that it'll give it a little bit more travel. Those are on sale right now for $44 a piece at Summit. This is a true 100% not China knockoff Hooker Blackheart steering shaft. It was $42. Shipped, tax, out the door, to our doors, $42.
And that came from
eBay. So the reason that's funny, true 100% Hooker Blackheart, I'm going to go ahead and drop right here some of the photos from that ad where you can 100% see that everything was written in English as their first language, and understanding of what this is. And you know, it's just one of those deals. They must have got a good deal from Hooker on these, because you know, the Hooker ones are a decent amount more money than this one, which is a genuine Hooker Blackheart steering shaft. So either way,
100%.
$199 on those, 40 something, 42 on those. So I'm gonna put the trick springs on it. Anybody that knows anything about the trick springs, typically they're a lot taller than a standard spring, but they're designed to collapse and have a lot of stored energy. We've got these bad boys.
All right, and these came from Amazon?
These came from Amazon, yep. So these were $124 for the pair. They're a 2-inch drop spindle. That's my plan. I'm going to try to leave the spring intact so it has the same spring rate and everything as it does coming out of the box. So we're going to use those. The drop spindles, I'm going to try to use the brakes and most of the steering stuff that's already on this truck. I don't know. I'll check the ball joints, the lower ball joints, and make sure they don't have slack in them. I'll check all the steering, make sure they don't have slack. This has obviously got a power steering gearbox on it. I have a used manual gearbox that come off of another truck from however many years ago. So I've got that sitting over there. So I've got a manual gearbox to put on it.
I think we're at a good spot now. We can start doing things to it. Well, so much for assembling.
Yeah. Well, I pressure washed this stuff the other day and I looked at it. I thought most of this stuff was actually pretty decent. And we rolled it in here and the truck rolled free. But when I started trying to take stuff apart, we determined that was a lie. The cotter pins were all rusted and all the castle nuts. We were able to get some of them out. This stuff was all sitting with WD-40 and soak it up a little bit, but like the outer tie rod, that deal wasn't coming out. The steering, we shook the steering down. Part of the reason why I didn't even try to get that tie rod off was there's slack in most of the joints on the steering.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm going to start replacing multiple things on the steering, I'm just going to replace all of it. And then one of the calipers felt like it was frozen. It wasn't doing anything. So that puts me buying one caliper, and if I've got one 30-year-old caliper on one side, I'm going to go ahead and
buy
replace
another
both of
one.
them. So we're looking at that. These ball joints that were supposedly new, I don't know. I don't know what the situation was with that, because they got slack in them too.
Well, he found more dirt than mud.
Yeah, I guess just the simple fact that this thing sat for so long. Here's the part where I don't know what I'm going to do, because again, we don't have a whole lot of money to spend on this thing, and we're not trying to build some super bad to the bone, go fast, no prep. You know, we're not trying to go fives with this thing.
No.
Well, actually, we probably are going to go fives with this thing, but
okay.
We're not trying to go fours. We're not trying to go fours with this thing. So we don't want to spend a bunch of money, put a bunch of high dollar stuff on it.
A bunch of money wrapped up in it.
Yeah, we're trying to do this truck on the cheap.
For sure.
There is money. There's money in the motor. There's not a whole lot of money in the motor, but there is money in the motor. Everything else has been. We ain't paid full price for a whole lot of anything yet.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna go inside and go order more parts.
We'll keep you updated on evidently what we buy.
Okay.
Summit again.
Summit again. Oh.
I think where we left off was we figured out that most of the front of the truck was like junk. So
A little bit.
we got on Amazon, we got on eBay, and
got a hold of your dad and got him to look some stuff up for us too.
so we got all new steering, idler arm, pitman arm, inner and outer tie rods, and the center link. We bought all of that stuff brand new. All of it total was like $78, I think, on Amazon. So
can't beat that.
got that. We bought 2 new front calipers. They were $23 a piece, but it was all cheap. So we were pretty bummed out whenever we first took that thing apart, because we're just thinking we're fixing to have to spend a whole bunch of money, and turns out we did have to buy a decent amount of stuff, but it was all cheap. So
yeah, so it turned out to not be so bad. So
now we're fixing to pick up the trick springs,
roll cage.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pick up the roll cage because it's on sale. And I don't remember what else.
I forgot what else we're getting.
There's another
couple other
big
things.
chunk of stuff.
But first, scratch and dent.
Yeah, so some of you may not know, and the ones that live near a Summit store that's not this one may not know about it, but in the back of the Summit store in Arlington, there's an outlet center, and they put all of the returns and demo parts and things like that in here, and it's like 50% off most of the time, 60% off. Sometimes it's less, but
it's a pretty good chunk off.
we have gotten some things in here at a substantial discount. So you can't come here
and not
go check it out. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go check it out.
Okay, we're going inside. All right, we're not leaving the outlet center empty-handed. What? You got your baby there. What?
It's a it's a transmission cross member for an S10. List price $349.99. I paid $140 for it.
Can't beat that.
I mean, it's new, got all the bolts and everything with it.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, well, so this place, we came over here on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
The headers that we have for this truck came from here.
Yep, they did.
Black Friday, they were doing,
Put that in there.
was it 25 or 50% off?
Don't remember.
Whatever it was. It was
I feel like it was 50, but
I think it was 50. So they mark everything down, and then on Black Friday they took another percentage off. So the headers that are going on this truck are $600 headers, and I paid $75 for them through the Summit deal, and they're brand new. Paint's kind of scratched up on them, but
it don't matter.
whatever. So $350 cross member for 150 bucks.
Can't beat that.
Score.
Outlet center. All right, so now we're gonna go over to the front to the other side. We'll load it up.
Quite the haul we just got. You ain't speeding through this part of the line.
5,000 speed bumps. Okay, we got everything loaded up, and
we got a roll cage, we got trick springs, we got ball joints,
we got brake pads and rotors.
Pads, rotors, motor mounts.
I'm not sure what else.
Brake lines.
Yeah.
And a cross member.
So we're gonna go stop at Harbor Freight, and they got a deal going on. You spend $30, I think it is, get a free bucket. So can't beat that.
You can always use a bucket. That truck has been spray painted, but it is also for sale. So if anybody's in the market for a clapped out Dodge truck that's been spray painted, there's one off of Barden Street
in New York,
in Arlington.
All right, we're leaving the old hobo freight.
I mean, I got a bunch of good stuff.
All right. Free bucket.
Free bucket.
Tubing notcher.
Lights.
Some lights.
I don't know if that tubing notcher is going to work, but whatever.
It was cheap. And we're doing cheap things, so we'll see how it works out.
Nobody stole the roll cage either. That's good.
Well, that's good news. Well, we're going to load up our goodies from here and go home and easy on our fine equipment. You didn't get protection plan.
No, probably should have that.
Cleaning up,
Knocking some rust off.
not too bad.
Yeah, it don't have to be perfect. Just trying to get some of the big stuff off anyway.
It's looking good.
Yeah, and there's a lot of crap in here that I gotta try to dig out, but.
Okay, we got everything off and we are shooting the firewall.
We're gonna have to get all that overspray off the windshield. I don't know if here.
It'll be all right. Not the first time we've had overspray on something.
Won't be the last.
Look at it.
Because we're all about the prep work here.
Oh yeah, we're good. We did cover some couple things up, but the old Craigslist rebuild there. It's laying pretty good.
We got some runs.
It's okay. But it's covering all the ugly. And it's gonna look fantastic.
I don't even know why I'm painting this. It's gonna be behind that plate.
Because it's gotta be complete, whether it's gonna be back there or not. Yeah.
I had satin and I had matte.
We went with the satin option.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really care that it's super nice. Just want it to look better than it did.
Which it definitely looks better than it did. It looks real good.
Alright, on to the next part.
On to the little crusty, rusty frame down here. But after your little whiz wheel job here, it cleaned up pretty good. So we'll shoot this thing black and see what it looks like. It's looking pretty good. What did we get for the finish for this? Gloss?
Semi-gloss.
Semi-gloss. Okay. What a difference. We're looking good. Looking pretty good.
Oh, sorry. But said you get everything back on it, it'll look good enough. I'm not too worried about it. Again,
Yeah.
We're not building a show truck.
No.
I mean, even though it is one.
Shop update.
Yeah.
Got our Harbor Freight lights hung up.
Yeah.
They turned out pretty dang good.
I saw on one of the Harbor Freight junkie pages or something on Facebook, one of those deals, there was a guy talking about his lights suck in his shop, which no good. And he said he bought these at Harbor Freight. They're 50 feet. They're 10 feet apart, 5 lights. It was like $50-something, I think, for that strand.
It's 10,000 lumens is what the box says.
Well, he bought those and hung them up in his shop and was just talking about how great they were. So we just bought some and hung them up in here, and I'm going to be honest with you. They're pretty good.
They're really good.
Got the wire tucked up and added another set. Bam.
So we came out today and started doing, well, came out and first off, you'll paint on the frame there. It looks pretty dang good. Paint on drywall, paint on drywall, paint on firewall, not drywall. Looks pretty dang good. Got the master cylinder up there with the TBM mount, looking pretty good. Got our wiper motor back on, and then what you got there?
Made a template for our cover. Put it up there and then laid it on a sheet of carbon and cut it out and
boom.
put that on there.
So this is leftover carbon fiber that we had from another project. He's not feeling the best. Not sure if we're gonna tackle that today or what we're gonna do next, but firewall and frame is looking pretty dang good so far.
Well, let's see. Trying to remember exactly where we left off. It's been a interesting couple of days. We got ball joints in, lower ball joints there. Got the new steering gear. I just got it kind of sitting on there. I say new. It's probably 300,000 mile. Who knows? Wore out junk steering gear, but it's a manual one. Got the new fitment arm just sitting on there. The new idler arm just sitting here. Ready to go on with the new upper control arms, and we're ready for the new spindles and the new springs. I think we already talked about this. Got the carbon piece cut out and put on there. Got the brakes on there. I don't know. We got some kind of like bug or something going around. I didn't feel very well the other day, so I came out here and didn't want to do a whole lot. And then now today, Krista's not feeling that great, so I don't know if she's going to wander out here today or not. But yesterday we came out here and decided just to do a little bit, not do, you know, a whole lot real crazy, and we decided to tackle the ball joints. And I broke a cutoff disc and shot the die grinder across the shop, and you know, got some battle wounds from that, but we're still alive. We still got all 10 fingers and whatnot. We have the factory motor mounts off and are ready to start bolting the new ones on, and they did not come with hardware. So we have to run and get some bolts to be able to put those on. And so we don't have that done yet. But actually, I'm probably going to have to go run and get those before we do the other part of it, because I don't know that we're going to be able to get to those with a spring in there. I don't think we are. All right. Cool story. Be back when I get back from the hardware store.
Well, it's been a rough few days.
We're back out here. She's not feeling good. yesterday. Today she's feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I'm helping take the trash out and pull something in my back, so I'm moving slow.
I always move slow, so we're doing good.
So at this point, I'm not moving fast. She doesn't feel good, and we're just gonna plug away at this deal. So
great team over here.
I think the next thing is we're gonna get the motor mounts.
The new one's
put in.
Oh, that was another thing. We forgot to go get bolts for that. So
Yeah.
that helped us.
Yeah, the motor mount kit didn't come with bolts, so we had to go get bolts. But we got that. We kind of cleaned up a little bit around here. And I guess at this point, we're pretty much ready to put the motor mounts on. Yeah. Start putting the springs in. I've got an OTC spring compressor we're going to use. I normally don't use spring compressors. I think it's sketchier to use a spring compressor than it is just to try to manhandle the spring on the control arm. But this truck has no weight on the front end at all, and it's to the point where, like, I mean, I can pick it up. So we're going to have to use the spring compressor, I do believe.
All right, so change of plans. We were about to put the motor mounts on, and we realized that they have like little slots in them. Sorry, you can't see that. There we go. They have like little slots in them, kind of. And we figured that it would probably be best to set the motor in there and get the slots, or well, get the motor mounts where we want them. So, we're going to take our motor, set it in there, and the transmission is currently being built. So, we're taking a case that we have in the Nova here that is currently hooked to a block that's sitting in there, and we're gonna bolt it to the back of the motor, put our cross member in there, and set it in the truck so that we can get our motor mounts where they're supposed to be. And this will help with us not having weight on the front of the truck when we go do our spring stuff too. So John is getting the case out of there, and we're gonna get this hooked up. So here we go. John got the transmission cross member in there.
Hold on. Let me see this thing. All right. What does that say? Back of cross member. See how that mounts? See how that mounts?
Not the back of the cross.
Not possible. So, we might have figured out.
We figured out why that unit was in the scratching dent.
The scratching dent, because somebody got it, started putting it in, and said, "Well, that don't make no sense."
Well, we were looking at the directions, and I was like, "I think you have to flip it the other way." And he was like, "That's not possible." And I was like, "But you know, we just went back and forth." Anyway, it's in there.
China. That is the moral of this old freaking build, is China.
China.
Well, per the usual,
The truck defeated us.
this side is fantastic. Header fits. Everything is great. This side,
Not so much.
the header comes to about right here instead of here. So I'm about an inch off, and it's hitting that engine mount. So these are Hedman headers. They're the kind of cheesy slip apart headers that go inside the frame rail, because They were cheap.
Scratch and dent too.
But if I'm not mistaken, Hedman says that those headers are supposed to fit with Transdat mounts, which is why I bought the Transdat mounts.
They don't.
They're not fitting. And this pan made it a great time because you can't clear the cross member with the transmission on. So we pulled the transmission case back off, dropped the motor in, and now you can't get the transmission case in with the transmission cross member in, which I don't feel like taking back out at the moment.
So I guess we're calling it done.
We got the jack stand and the 2x4 holding the back of the motor up. Got the Transdat mounts on the front of it. And
hopefully it's still sitting in there tomorrow when we come back out.
oh, it'll be there. I mean, that makes for a good picture, but
That's about all.
we're calling it a night before something else goes wrong. Well, yesterday was a little on the rough side.
Yesterday pretty much kicked our butts.
Yes. We started doing some filming, and
then I think we just both got annoyed.
Yeah.
And we stopped.
When you get in one of those moods, you know, just picking up your phone and video, and it's just not where it's at. So
I was struggling trying to get the stupid motor mount bolts in because it's very hard to get the socket in there to where you need it to be, because you know I have small hands and it was hard getting in the hole and whatever. And then we got that on, and then we got the springs in.
yeah, so the whole trick spring deal, if anybody's ever done that before, it's not the funnest thing to do.
And you got a good spring compressor, but it's still a little sketchy just because
A spring compressor in general is sketchy.
I know, like the whole situation. So,
Got the trick springs in, the tubular speedway arms with the 1 inch longer ball joint, 2 inch drop spindle. So yeah, got that all in there, both sides, and done.
but it looks good.
We did get the motor in it correctly with the mounts. That was a whole fight. The instructions say to use that hole for an S10 pickup.
Well, guess what? Didn't work.
The transmission would not clear the tunnel. So I clearanced the tunnel and would not work. Finally, we just said, let's try the other holes. Dropped it down and bolted right up. Transmission fits.
Still can't get the headers to work.
You can see we've actually got a little bit of clearance there now. Yeah, headers still do not work wherever those ended up. So if you're in the market for a set of headers that may or may not fit an S10, even though the description is they fit S10,
yeah,
we got some. We've got the rest of the front end stuff, the brakes. Well, you get the picture. We got all of that. We got the steering. Put the manual gearbox on it yesterday. Got it cleaned up good with a pressure washer. Got, well, there's the pitman arm laying on the ground. Idler arms on it. We got to tighten that up. And get the truck sitting on the ground, which leads us to look at these fancy units there.
they are fancy.
So we got some 15 by, I think they're 15 by 4s. 15 by 4.5s, something like that.
Black Friday.
Black Friday special. I think I gave $520 maybe, something like that, for all four.
All four.
So we got a set of 15 by 10s for the back. That
Tech Tip Tuesday. Vacuuming is quicker and more efficient than sweeping. Especially when you have the whole field underneath your vehicle here. Goodness. I swear every time we touch something, we have like 15 pounds of dirt fall out of this thing. All right, progress report. Where'd we leave off? I don't even know.
I think we were putting the brake press on.
All right, so boom.
Got a VMS 15-inch front runner with a Mickey Thompson 26x6 AT Street car we're putting on this deal.
So we got the rotors and stuff on. We don't have the calipers and all that on there yet. But man.
Yeah, we realize the center cap on these wheels will not clear the center of the spindle, which is not ideal because that looks a little terrible.
That's not.
That's why there's random paint on this nice, pretty new rotor. Because I couldn't handle the silver sticking through the wheel. So we glossed the end of the rotor there and the dust cap.
But it's fine, because when the
still looks
wheel's on
terrible.
there, it looks good.
I mean, I'm dealing with like a $200 wheel. The tires were more expensive.
It is killing him that he was not able to put
I'll be honest with you, I really don't like the black either.
Torx wheels on this truck.
Or something that's polished. That's not a drag light.
Yeah, well, I said if you did that, your wheels were going to cost more than you had in the whole entire truck.
I know. I got to keep going back to budget situation. Whenever I put that wheel on there and figured out that the cap was not going to work, it was like, we just need to buy aftermarket brakes, so I don't have to deal with this. But
Then we'd have to rename it to Snowball, because that's what it would do with Snowball.
I'm already the Snowball. But what can you do?
Oh my gosh.
So, it's whatever.
It is what it
We
is.
got our got one tire mounted up. I didn't balance it, and there's not even a brake caliper on there.
No.
At this point, we just want to get wheels on it.
So we can set it on the
tires
ground.
it, so we can set it on the ground. So
Yeah.
we're gonna use our Amazon tire mounting tools, and
Yeah, we don't have a tire machine. We are the tire
sitting out
machine.
in the sun, getting them all nice and warm and
Yeah.
stretchy-ish.
So these are our Amazon tire tools. Fancy.
It's fine. It's
They
all
work though,
good. Yep.
for the most part.
So, I
We
got
mounted the tires on the Chevette with it, and it did fine. So. All right. Well, I guess.
valve stem somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where that ended up, but you know they'll be mess wheels. He don't really care for them. I don't think they look bad.
They don't look bad, but they could look better.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna get this other tire mounted and get it on there, and then set this whole thing down on the ground. Okay. Tire time.
Alright, so this one rotation needs to go this way.
You need to spray this one. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if it helped or not last time.
You're gonna have to hold the wheel.
Oop. That one was a little easier. All right, the time has come. We're gonna set it down on the ground.
Yeah.
So we still have some of the steering stuff we haven't done, but you
I
know.
just want to set it on the ground and see how this suspension situation goes. It's probably gonna sit good because the tires are flat in the back.
Yeah, they flat. All right.
See if you know, springs do spring things and control arms go through the roof of the shop and that kind of thing.
Oh lordy.
All right, here we go.
All right.
I'm curious to see about the travel.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like we got a lot of travel, but I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with it hanging in the air, no front fender. But curious just to see how much it collapses when we set it down. Because we technically have lowered it 2 inches.
Yes.
But with the springs being 17 feet long, it's hard to tell.
Let's see what we got.
We also don't have any weight other than the engine in here, so.
True. We have nothing.
Yeah. It didn't go down here.
Oh.
Well,
It moves.
it does. Well, there is a positive here. The front is sitting lower than the back.
This is true.
There it is. We made a lot of progress, I feel like, in a short period of time, especially with all the random setbacks and problems we've had in the last little while.
Yeah. It fought us a little bit. On top of us having whatever weird sickness we had too, so.
It may have been this truck. We have discussed that every time that we start feeling bad, it's after we've been with this truck all day. And there's
Just dirt. We should have taken a picture, recorded the vacuum. So yeah, Tech Tip Tuesday there on the vacuum situation. We cleaned underneath this thing, and the vacuum cleaner was like half full, and it was just nothing but stuff that had come out of underneath here. And we've cleaned this thing, I don't know how many times. So I don't know. It's just odd, but I guess we'll move on to the next thing and keep you updated.